Good morning, everybody, or good day, wherever you are. Um, Welcome to Leaders Transforming Global Consciousness. This is day 6, and this is one of the many soulful conversations with some of the presenters as an opportunity just to give you a taste of what the interviews are about. And it's my pleasure to introduce or reintroduce uh, Tracy Goodwin. Welcome, Tracy.
Thank you for having me. I'm glad to be here with y'all today.
I'm so glad that you're part of the summit. I loved our interview. We had such a fascinating conversation. Your work is about voice connection, about transforming consciousness through the voice. Um, and we agreed that you are much more than a voice coach, that you're either a voice coach on steroids or a voice whisperer. And I think that's the one that rings more true to me because you have such a sensitivity to tell what's going on with somebody's mindset, somebody's psycho, spiritual, emotional state of being just through the quality of the voice, to feel where people are being stuck or trapped. Would you tell us a little bit about your work?
Yes, I think that is the hardest question that anybody ever asked me is what do you do? What do you call yourself?
Yeah,
Because then if they know me and they know my work, they follow it with don't call yourself a voice coach. That's really not what you do.
that's
And
right.
when we think about voice coaching, we think about speak louder, fill the space, warm up, practice. And I have been given this incredible gift of hearing that I was fascinated with. And I have spent 30 plus years researching to understand microscopic sounds that are in our voice that are blocking the true revelation of our soul. These sounds come from our own subconscious, from our own experiences, and they are negatively processed in the subconscious of our listener. And we are not thinking about this. People are not thinking, I wonder how these sounds are being processed in the subconscious of my listener. And it's microscopic, and it is layers that are blocking our heart, the truest sound that I take away. So people will say to me all the time, Christian, they'll say, well, you give us stuff, but what you really do is take away what's not working for us.
Mm, mm.
But it's all about how you're representing you through your voice.
Yeah, and it's like as a breathwork practitioner, I see that frequently. Like
Hmm.
even in the middle of a breathwork session, that I can see that somebody's throat's chakra, their center, is blocked, and I see it opening, and them clearing their voice even through the session, and inevitably there's a correlation with somebody having stuffed their voice, having swallowed their voice. In one recent case, somebody who had actually had an injury got hit pretty bad in the trachea. And so talk about that. What's the connection between the our voice and the psychological reasons that we stuff ourselves?
Well, the voice is the representative of our soul. It's the orchestra of our heart. If I reveal who I really am and how I really feel, I am subjecting myself to judgment. The
Mm,
voice is the utmost place of judgment. The minute I started talking today, and I don't mean this in a negative, it's how we operate. Science has proven that the subconscious assesses and decides who we are through sound. And so we consciously or unconsciously have this shroud of judgment around using our voice. We don't want to fully express ourselves because what if people don't like that? But my research goes all the way back to before we're 5 years old. And literally, one phrase has the power to determine how we're going to use our voice the rest of our life. Now, my generation was very much a children are to be seen and not heard. Stop talking and just sit there and look pretty, Tracy.
yeah.
Okay,
I mean,
there
and
it went.
those words came out of a client's mouth verbatim just less
Really?
than like a couple of weeks ago. Like
Yeah.
that's how she grew up. Kids are to be seen but not heard.
Right. And so when we think about typical voice coaching, we think about external. Really, voice work is about internal. Voice work goes all the way back to that first phrase, and the subconscious went, "Don't worry, I've got this." The subconscious is trying to protect our heart. The voice is the orchestra of our heart. So the subconscious will literally start shifting the muscles, holding the sound, and I can hear it. And I'll say to people, do you grind your teeth? Yeah, I do. How do you know? Because I hear you holding a death grip on your sound so that it won't flow out to me.
That's amazing. So say I have somebody else, not a client. This is somebody I've known just personally since childhood, actually, who speaks with a really, really
Mhm,
high pitch, almost cartoonish voice.
mhm.
And because I don't have that client relationship with her, I, haven't been able to say anything or haven't felt comfortable saying anything. How would you work with someone like that?
Mhm. So that tells me, without hearing it, that at some point in her life, somebody said, and this is classic societal implications around women's voices. Tracy, I went to work at high school at Joe's Pizza and I answered the phone, Joe's Pizza, and Joe came over and said, "No, no, no, you got to be nice. Say it like this, Joe's Pizza." And so these things are societal. And so I would suspect that at some point, somebody said to this woman, "Well, you've got to be nice." Or perhaps she's a people pleaser, and people pleasers, especially women, and I don't mean this as a negative, there's societal implications on men's voices too, but somehow her sound got stuck up here. She made a choice to go Joe's Pizza and got positive reinforcement, or the subconscious said, "That's better, that's safe, they like you when you do that." And then she built a habit, put it in her muscle memory. So the first thing I would do was I would test to see if her voice was stuck. And I can generally hear where a sound is stuck. It's generally stuck in 5 or 6 places, one of or two or three. And I would test that through a series of exercises to find out where it's
Or
stuck.
like speaking exercises?
Like what I call placement exercises. So let's say, and it's not a one size fits all thing, but let's say somebody's talking like this and their sound is, they're talking like this. Now that I've pointed it out, you can tell that I'm holding my sound in my jaw.
Yeah.
I would write a sentence. I would have them practice through a stretch of their jaw, and then I would have them say it again. And I would either free their sound or not. And if their sound didn't free in that moment, I would go to a different placement. Is it
Mm.
stuck in their throat? Is it stuck in their higher pitch? Is it a nasal thing? Has their sound split and is coming through their nose? Because you see, the subconscious wants the sound to be stuck because it doesn't want the sound to flow straight through the pipeline. Because if my sound flows straight through the pipeline, it reaches your heart.
Mm.
And that's not safe,
Mm.
according to the subconscious.
Wow. Just
Isn't it fascinating?
it's fascinating. Your work is really fascinating to me. And I really enjoyed our conversation about the psychology of the voice and how to captivate a room, which is the theme of your lecture and so much of your work.
Yeah.
But even that doesn't capture the depth of it. Captivating your room,
Mm-mm.
it doesn't even capture it,
No.
what you do.
No, it's very deep work. It doesn't mean it's scary, but it is ultimately about the sound that you're revealing, but it's about the layers of blockage that are keeping you from revealing that. I have found that I can give you a technique all day long, but it's not going to stick until that story is rewritten. People come to me all the time and they say, "I know I need to slow down." And I'll say, "Well, maybe you do, maybe you don't. Why are you going fast?" If you're going fast because you want to get to the other side to make sure you got it right, or because you think you're bothering me, then yeah, we need to
Mm.
rewrite that. But we've got to find the story, because the story is holding the habit in place.
Wow. Just amazing work, Tracy. Thank you so much for what you do. And it's such a unique
Yeah.
because you really do kind of bridge the scientific and the spiritual
Hmm.
um, in a very safe way, in a very profound way.
Yeah.
And thank you for sharing your wisdom and your energy, your voice with us here in the summit. And so there you go. summiteers, make sure that you don't miss Tracy's interview because it's fascinating. And we get so much more deeply into this conversation about how the mind's changing our mindset to make sure that our voices are fully, fully heard and that we're no longer holding ourselves back. And it's
Right.
time because we're all needed now, fully in our power, fully in our voice. Any final thoughts, Tracy?
Well, people don't realize that connection, a huge part of connection happens in the voice. And I don't remember if we discussed this or not in the interview, but what I want to say is if you've not thought about your voice as one of your greatest assets, if not your greatest asset, now you've got to think about it because people are seeking connection on a level that I've never seen in 30 plus years. And so we have to create an invitation in our voice to let people in because they're seeking like we've never seen in the research.
Do you have a moment for a question? Somebody just popped up a question.
Sure.
So this is Linda, whom I know works with students, with young people. And actually, she says, I have a question. I work with students of all ages. What can you suggest for me to help them overcome their fear of speaking, and especially what to do when they go silent?
Well, that sounds to me like they are working from the wrong place. And what I mean by that is we generally work from the noise in our head, which is one of the first things that we have to shift, especially young people. And not a criticism, but they're more subjected to peer pressure than somebody my age. I'm trying to get it right. I'm trying to get it right. I'm trying to get the words right. I'm trying to think about what you're thinking about and decide what you're thinking and decide if I'm getting it right. And we have to stop that noise and we have to start working from trusting that we have it right. We have to start working from message, which is, this is what I really need you to know. And when I work from this is what I really need you to know, I'm focused on you. And then I'm not focused on me and whether I'm getting it right or not. And so a big part of it is shifting where people are working from. And they have to start getting comfortable with the possibility that they are going to get it right because it's in all that trying to get it right that they don't get it right. I call it kinking the garden hose, and it's working from the wrong place. So that's a recommendation I would make.
That's beautiful. That's wonderful and very perceptive. Thank you again. And if you're watching this Summiteers or if you're watching it in the Facebook group, if you write a comment, it could be even like if this resonates with you, if you're up for freeing up your voice, and we're going to make sure you have all the links you need to get in touch with Tracy if you want to do deeper work with her one-on-one. But if you just by writing a comment, even like, yes, this works, or yes, whatever the comment is, it could be an emoji. You'll get included in a drawing for a free book, a signed book.
Cool.
So,
Cool.
yeah, thanks again, Tracy.
You're welcome.
I loved our conversation and look forward to more.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
All right, until next time.